Hello and welcome to another episode of the ACC Insider Podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Dosser. Jeff Goodman is here with me, and we are joined today by Virginia coach Ron Sanchez, who has had it was a wild end to the 2024 year for you, Ron.
Yeah.
8-5 start to the college basketball season. You're 1-1 here in the ACC. It wasn't the best start in the world, but you guys have kind of turned things around here a little bit. You won 2 in a row, just had a comeback win against NC State, three wins in your last 4 games, 1-1 start in the ACC. All things considered, how has this season gone for you so far, 13 games in?
Yeah, man. As you know, I was kind of thrusted into a new position. Yeah, a lot more responsibilities that I did not anticipate having. I actually came from Charlotte to kind of help acquire some more talent and do certain things. So I had basically a full semester plan of things I was intending to do, and then just had to reshift. And it's been actually it's been awesome. It's been a terrific learning experience for me, learning opportunity for me. My tasks change from acquiring talent to then developing more guys here and keeping the group together, keeping the group encouraged. And then actually learning the group because we have a large number of guys that have never played a game in a Virginia uniform. So that was definitely something that you know required a level of patience and a level of time, considering how things happened. And but it's honestly it's been terrific.
All right, Sanchez, we've known each other long enough that I think I
Yeah.
can ask some direct questions.
Yeah.
All right, October 18th.
Okay.
Me and Doster were actually out in Vegas doing the Mountain West Media Day. And in the
Okay.
middle of an interview, the
Yeah.
Gonzaga kids just sat down. And in the middle of the interview, I just got up and left. And Doster's like, what's going on? The Gonzaga kids are like, what's going on? And I had
Wow.
heard the news that Tony was going to step down. And I think I tried to call you, among many people at Virginia. It was airtight. Nobody answered my phone call, which was no surprise
Yeah.
whatsoever. But take me back to when Tony told you. How
Mhm.
long did you know before that, Ron? How long did you keep it a secret?
Mhm.
And what was it like,
Yeah.
that whole process?
Yeah, no, honestly, we all basically found out at the same time, maybe, an hour or so before, but it wasn't, something that we were prepared for as as an institution, as a department. I
As a
think,
good friend, Ron, as a very good friend of his, let's be
Mhm.
honest, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what you
no,
are.
yeah, I think that people may not really have understood it, but this was not something that what was there. I mean, Tony obviously when he shared it, what he shared in his press conference was basically, really what he went through. I mean, Tony by now. I mean, his level of transparency with things is amazing. In this field where people are very, very secretive. Tony is a better human being away from the spotlight that he is in the spotlight, and he's an amazing human being in the spotlight. So. I think it was something that was hard for him to do. It was a decision that came to him, and he went through with it. And actually, the hard part for me was, as a very good friend of his, I felt bad that I didn't realize, kind of
He was
more
going through.
or so what he was kind of dealing with, and that I think I failed him there.
I don't think you failed him. I don't think you failed him. I think that's kind of Tony. That's kind of who he is too. He doesn't want to put any pressure on anybody else.
Mhm.
Um, it's funny. So in the weeks after he made the announcement,
Mhm.
I texted him a few times, and Tony is not a good texter. I've gotten on him about that for years. He's a horrible texter. I've never seen him more engaged when I
Yeah,
texted him than he
yeah,
was over the next few weeks. And he
yeah.
said to me, he texted me saying how happy he is,
Mhm.
how, again, family wise, it's different. It's funny because at his age, I said it. I've said this for a year, right, Rob? Like I've said it on the show for a year. Like Tony Bennett's going to be the next one to go because of the changing landscape. And I've had heart to hearts with Tony at the Peach Jam over this, not being able to kind of retain and develop guys and watch them grow. That was I think the hardest part for him, wasn't it, Ron? Like was the transactional nature that the business had gone to, and it went against not everything that Tony believed in, but everything that he loved about what he was doing.
Yeah, I mean, Tony's why has always been, to help young men develop, not only on the floor, but off the court. We've always really identified high character guys that that wanted this, that wanted, what I call the Virginia way, and that was, not only the basketball development, helping them become pros, but it was also really turning them into, phenomenal human beings, great brothers, to their sisters, to their brothers, potential amazing husbands later on in life. When you look at the Malcolm Brogdons and Joe Harris and Anthony Gales, like, the connection that we have with those guys and, with their families, these guys have children now, even Kyle Guy here now with his kids, like, it was always about the holistic approach for us, and that has shifted where individuals no longer wanted to have those conversations, and parents were not having the conversations about, well, how can you help me continue to raise a phenomenal human being along with helping him develop as an athlete? Parents know, one thing about us, that these kids are not going to play basketball forever, and that we do help them drastically in becoming, great members of our societies. And, all of a sudden we started having conversations about, well, how much money is it going to be? And we can talk about all that. That's fine.
But they were the first questions a lot of times, weren't they?
Yeah. And what about the education? And what environment is my son going to be in? Are you going to help my son grow spiritually? Yes, we have, Mike Curtis, who's a phenomenal strength coach, and Tony Bennett, who's a Hall of Fame coach, and an institution here at the University of Virginia that's an elite academic institution. Like, those three things are, amazing to the package that we're providing kids. But now everything shifted to, what am I getting as opposed to who am I becoming in this journey? And that became really hard. And then also, as you venture into this space, then it was like, how can you really appreciate this, when you feel like you're entitled to so much more? So, it's hard to be appreciated for something you feel you're entitled to. And I think those things, really combated, internally with coach.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's kind of been used as a stick to kind of beat Tony with this decision has been, you promised these kids that you were bringing in, that you were going to be there to coach them, and now you're not there to coach them. And do you think that that's a fair thing to hit them on? But it's also, you're bringing it into the program. Like, obviously, Tony Bennett, Hall of Famer, national champion, all of that stuff matters and helps. But Virginia basketball is bigger than just. I think he said it at his press conference, right? Like, I'm not Virginia basketball. I'm just the guy that was in charge.
Yeah, yeah. No, he said it. This was on loan to me for some time. Those was kind of his words. And yes, Virginia basketball is, was built by him. Absolutely. The pillars. You see them right behind me here. Nothing here has changed. And but at the same time, do individuals really want that? It's the question also. Was it unfair? I don't want to use that word. It wasn't his intentions, that much I could say. I think what would have been unfair would have been for Tony to continue to do it and then not give these guys that were here his best. And I think that's really where he was. And being the kind of person that he is, he wouldn't do that, and not only to the players, but also to the university, who has given him so much. He does love this place. And what he did, honestly, came out of an appreciation for the individuals and the institution.
All right, let's get to this team a little bit and what you're trying to do with this group, which isn't easy. You lost a key player at the beginning of the year when Tony announced he was stepping down. Then these kids were able to transfer. One did. You weren't, let's face it, you didn't have the most talented roster, not a typical Virginia roster to begin with this year. Doing the best you can with kind of the hand you've been dealt. What's the key with this team? Because again, you don't have pros. You don't have pros like you've had when you were here last time, right? I mean, it's a little different. Tane's obviously been much better the last couple games, I think, and that's even with the game against NC State, to be able to come back from, what was it, 14 down. Saunders has been good. Obviously, McNeely's been solid. I still want to ask you about my boy TJ Power before we get done with this, and why he's not getting more time, and how I can, help TJ Power get more time.
Yeah.
That's my guy. That's my guy. So I'm very frustrated here not seeing TJ Power play more. But start with kind of, where this team is at right now, Ron, and how you can maximize what you have here.
Yeah, it's a fantastic group. Let's just start there. We always said it here is, if you get you got to get the people right. And when we have the right people, let's just start there. Each and every one of them. Every guy that's wearing a uniform is the right person. Here. It's just the most talented roster that we've had in years. Probably not. And that's okay. We've always had our battles here. And yes, we've had some teams that have had pros coming off the bench. We've redshirted pros here before. Like it's been a journey for us. We're a program that's been built, on retention, and now we're shifting to playing new players all the time. There is an understanding of system and spacing and just overall game experience. I mean, right now we're playing freshmen, we're playing first year guys, and there are some mistakes that happen with them, and that's okay. This is part of their journey, part of their growth, and I have to be really patient with my impatience, and continue to encourage them. So. But as a group, what they're starting to do is they're starting to play together. They're starting to understand. It's really hard when you have, 8 new guys to the floor, 9. I mean, if our starting lineup right now, away from Rhodey and McNeely, we have only 2 guys that have played games together here. 2.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And we're starting a first-year center in Jacob Kofi right now. Elijah Saunders is a transfer. Day Ames, a second-year transfer. So our youth, at times, it's a detriment because we don't have that experience. I call it having shared experiences together. When you've gone through some hard times, and you learn from those. Like, one of our pillars is thankfulness, and it's, what do you learn in the hard? And this group, I mean, we've had a tough schedule. I mean, we had a tough non-conference schedule. And I think those experiences are the reasons why we were able to come back, and beat an NC State after being down 14, because we've had some battles. But overall, honestly, I think our biggest issues have been, turn the ball over,
Yep.
Rebounding. And a lot of that comes with, when your starting center just turned 18 a month and a half ago, and he's going up against a 24-year-old who, just sees a young guy on the floor. You know what that looks like. And then, just understanding, and being in moments where, we've been in some games towards the end and we've had to learn how to win. Winning is learned. Being not only physically tough, as Jay Billis says, the mental toughness, is the big one. And then quoting Jay again, it's not about, like what role are you playing on this team? Because every transfer comes in and every first year comes in with a story. I'm going to be this, I'm going to have that. And then the reality of their story comes to fruition as you go through practices and you get to games and, but having guys be all-stars in their role and not thinking, well, coach is limiting me, but the role that I'm playing, is the role that the team needs me to play for that we could be successful. And those are things, honestly, you only go through with time. People think, man, you put on a Virginia uniform and you automatically become a good defender. Well, that's not how it works. That's not a Superman outfit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to put in time, to get there.
I know that's going to be Rob's next question. I know Rob well enough for years now. He's going to ask you the question of the pack line defense and all these new guys and how long it does take, right, Rob? Isn't that where you were going to go?
No, well, similar. My question was going to be like, so you were a head coach for 5 years at Charlotte, and so you have your way of doing things.
Mhm.
and you come into a program where you were doing it the old coach's way until 2 weeks before the season starts. How do
Yeah.
you balance trying to make sure that your guys have a level of continuity in terms of what they're hearing in practice with also implementing what you do best and what you know how to
Yeah.
teach best? And frankly,
Yeah.
it's your program now, like the way that you want to play.
Yeah. Honestly, it wasn't 2 weeks. I wish I would have had 2 weeks because Tony's announcement came and we had a scrimmage on Saturday. I think he announced on a Thursday, so we had to go. And then we had another scrimmage and then we had games. So we really haven't had time to really kind of do your mini camps or, Christmas was a huge break and we had 3 days to prepare, for the next game. So we really haven't had time to really shift or change anything. What we had time to do is analyze and study, because we all come into, like, the players come into a situation thinking something, we coaches come into a situation thinking something also. And, we think that these players, in this portal speed dating, I mean, you're evaluating some film, you're getting them in 2 weeks. Like, man, it's just so fast that we are just getting to know each other, and who can do what, and what role are they comfortable in, how much can they do, how much can you put on them. It's one thing to practice, man. It's another thing when that ball tips up and the lights are on. Sometimes things shift a little bit.
All right, so getting back to my Massachusetts guy, who
Yeah,
again Tony ripped on me at ACC Media Day for
yeah,
my
yeah,
love of TJ Power, but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
obviously came into Duke, highly touted, had an incredible summer leading up to that. Incredible. I mean, it might have been the best player at Pete Sham. Didn't work out for him at Duke. I thought when I saw him even preseason at Duke, I thought he had lost his confidence and his swagger as much as anything.
yeah,
And goes to Virginia. I thought it'd be a good situation for him, and
yeah.
hopefully it will be. But he has not gotten on the floor a whole lot. What have you talked
Well,
to him about to try to get
yeah,
max
yeah,
out of TJ Power?
yeah. Well, I can see why you really like the kid because
Yeah,
he's fantastic. I love him to
yes,
like I said, he's awesome, awesome
best
kid. I
kid in the
think,
world.
yeah, and I think it's going to come for him. Having been in this portal era, enough, and having taken guys when I was a head coach at Charlotte that came from certain programs and didn't play much, having that experience, kind of under my belt is going to help me, help TJ. Igor Milicic, for example, is a perfect example of that.
Oh,
Who left Virginia,
yeah.
didn't play, came to Charlotte,
Right.
and again struggled early because they are still inexperienced players. Like that's the bottom line. Like if you were in one program and you didn't play, you're coming to another program, you're still a player with zero experience.
Yeah.
So it does take some time. Now, I will say this, TJ was a starter at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So, it's not that TJ didn't have an opportunity,
Yeah.
what we've learned through this is that, maybe TJ just needs a little more time. So we're
Is defense a big part of that for
I
TJ?
think I see he's incredibly smart. He's
Right.
he's got a lot of things. He just needs more time,
Yep.
to
Yep.
figure out
Yep.
who he is collegiately. We have a thing here we call him like your real identity versus your false identity.
Okay.
Your false identity is like what the world thinks you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think TJ has, kind of to figure out who he is. My encouragement to him is I want you to play unconscious. That's what we share with TJ.
Yeah.
Like I want you to play unconscious. If you take a shot and you miss it, I'm not taking you out of the game. I will take you out of the game if you have an open shot and you don't take it. That's kind of the encouragement that he's getting. But at the same time, he can't play the game in a way that says, well, what's good for TJ? It still has to be what is best for the team. And I
Yep.
think that takes, time here and there. And I do think that he's going to get more opportunities as we go. But TJ has to figure out, and it's our role to help him, who are you? Because TJ can't be, well, you left Duke and you were a five-star prospect, so therefore you're really good.
Right. That's over. That's over now. Right. Don't look
Yeah.
back on that. Hey, from here on. No, that's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting that you're right. Like sometimes the media And again, obviously he was heavily recruited by everybody. Rob was there
Mhm.
too, and he
Yeah.
was tremendous.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to turn the page on that and say, like, I'm not playing for that. I'm
Right.
playing for now.
This.
For now.
Right.
This is
Hmm.
what matters.
Yeah, and he will honestly. He's going to get more. Sometimes it's a miss. Is is he a three? Is he a four? Who are we playing
Yep.
against? Are they? Do they
Yep.
have two bigs? Do they? So there'll be times when he will get more, than others. But I think he's going to earn more and more as the season wears on because of his intelligence, because of his feel for the game, because of his passing. And I know that everything, media wise is you got to score. You got to score. That's all that they see. And one of the, it's not. I think it was Billy Donovan who said, if you take 10 shots in a game, that's 10 seconds or maybe
Yep.
even less.
Yeah.
You
13,
know,
13 shots is 13 seconds. And
right?
don't, yeah, don't, what are you doing the rest of the game?
While he's doing the
Basically.
rest of the game. So basically, I want TJ to know, like, man, I got to play the entire game. You can get deflections, you can get steals, you can make a great pass, you can set a great screen. Like, really value all of that, and that is your true identity versus the false one, which is I'm only seen as a guy who can make a shot. Those things are earned through time. And me having been here at Virginia, you got guys that ended up being great players here. Jay Huff, an example, Mamadi Diakite, an example, that in their early years, like
Yep.
that was not their role. So sometimes we think, we tag young athletes as, well, you were a five-star, or you left Carolina, or you left Duke, or you should be this because of that. Well, that's not really the case. But TJ is a good player, man. I love working with him every day. He's fantastic. And I do think that he's just going to get better and better and better. And what we do every day is we invest into his development.
Good.
I wanted to ask you about Elijah Saunders because I mentioned at the open of this, you guys have won 3 of your last 4, won 2 in a row. And in those 4 games, Elijah Saunders averaging 18 points, averaging 6.5 rebounds. He's starting to shoot the ball better. He had 3 threes, even though you lost to Memphis. It feels like he's kind
Mhm.
of turned a corner here with you guys over the course of the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Absolutely. I think it does. It goes back to, becoming familiar,
Hmm.
knowing where your shots are. We have to put him in spots to be successful. Elijah I think he's a three-level guy. I mean, he can shoot it from the mid-range. He can shoot the three. He can post up. He's actually a decent passer as well. So we have to continue to use him, kind of as a Swiss Army knife in different ways, so he could do so much. But he's also starting to understand, and his teammates are starting to understand him as well. Again, you can't create experience. Like, you have to go through certain things in order for you to arrive somewhere. The world today is, like, intimidated by adversity. Nobody wants to go through anything hard. And I can tell you, myself, and Jeff, right now, I can tell you, we've been through some hard stuff to get here, and you can't get here unless you go through some hard stuff. I mean, Jeff, I don't know how you and I known each other. Where you are now,
Long time.
when we first met, like,
Yeah.
things are just different, and it's okay. Adversity creates.
Ron was at Washington State when I first met him. That's how long ago that was, right? And
Exactly.
nobody thought you guys would win a game at Washington State.
Right, right. So yeah, I don't know. Elijah's just figuring it out, and the team is figuring it out for him too.
All right, I'm gonna hit you with, I don't know if it's the hardest question of this interview, but I'm just interested to hear your response on this because obviously this was one you came back because you wanted to. It's Virginia. It was Tony Bennett. You left a head job at Charlotte, coming off your best year at Charlotte, by the way, which I
Yeah.
was surprised about when you did it. Now you've got this opportunity. Obviously, it's to help the kids, number one. We know that. It's to stabilize the program, help these kids have a great experience this year.
Mhm.
But it's still hanging over your head a personal opportunity here, an
Mhm.
opportunity to coach one of the better programs in college basketball right now at a stage where, how old are you now, Ron?
51.
All right, you're a little younger than me. I got a couple of years on you.
You look a lot
But
younger than him.
Yeah.
no, he's 2 years younger. It's only 2 years. He looks a lot younger. Yeah, no, he looks 100 years younger. But like, how much does that I know you try to make it not be about that, obviously, but how much are you still thinking about that? Of hey, I still want to take care of my family. You haven't made, Tony Bennett money. Okay. You haven't made some of these ACC,
Yeah. Yeah.
3 million a year deals. And
Yeah.
if you could flip this thing a little bit and get this job permanently, listen, yes, it's huge for you, for your kids, for your kids, all of that. How much do you think about that?
Honestly, I don't think about it at all. And the reason is, I've never done any of this for that. I love this game. Listen, you got to know, I think you got to understand people, you got to know where they come from and what they've been through. So, I mean, I was born in the Dominican Republic. I was raised in the South Bronx in New York City. Like basketball was my positive addiction when I was a kid. If it wasn't for this, my children wouldn't have the experience that they're having now. So this has really allowed me to shift and kind of break some chains, in my life. And that's the gift of the game. It is. It's what I love about it. It is my purpose in this. I did an interview a couple of days ago about the kid Ali Khalifa, who is now at Louisville, who was one of my best players at Charlotte. And he asked me, were you mad at him when he left? And I said, absolutely not, because my role in his life was to help him. Bryce Williams, who left me and I was playing phenomenal basketball at Nebraska, everybody said, well, no, because my role was to help him. Like, I want to give back what this game has given to me. And none of it has ever been, I will do this. I love this game. I haven't worked a day in my life. I get to spend time with young people. I get to help them accomplish their dreams. How many NBA finals and NBA championship games I've been to with guys that we've recruited that people never thought they had a chance. There's nothing I enjoy more than taking one of my guys out to dinner, and I pay the bill, even though they've made 100 million, so it's, I just, this is such a gift, and to look at it any other way would be the mistake. If I'm the head coach at Virginia for 2 months, 2 years, like, I can't control any of that. The only thing I can control, man, is my attitude, giving these guys my best every day. And, Tony had it for 15 years. If I get it for, 15 weeks, it's okay. So I don't spend a single minute worrying about tomorrow. I just,
Rob, I've never seen Sanchez without a smile on his face. I'm not kidding. Like I actually would love to see you in a practice. I saw you as an assistant coach in a practice. It's a little bit different as a head coach. I would love to see, because I've never seen it before, Ron Sanchez pissed off and mad, because I've never ever seen it. Like, what makes you? This is my final question.
Yeah.
Off the court, forget on the court. What makes you mad?
Yeah.
What's your pet peeve off the court that gets you really, really upset?
Oh man, I'm not sure that there is.
What do you mean? There's got to be something. There's got to be something that rattles you. Come on.
Honestly, like,
What if your wife doesn't do the dishes? What if your wife doesn't do the dishes, Ron?
No, like, I get more upset at myself than anything else. I'm the biggest Ron Sanchez critic on the planet. People think that they criticize me, and it gets to me. Like, you have no idea how I criticize myself. No, honestly, man, I think life is about perspective. And I'll be honest with you, man. Like, if I encounter a situation where somebody is just unbelievably rude or mean, I feel for them. But something like that has nothing to do with me. Something is going on in their lives that's making them, act like this towards me. So for me, it's like, I'm just gonna give them grace in that moment. I really am. Like, I'm just gonna give you grace, and hope that you have a better day. If I have a bad waitress or a mean waitress, I usually give her even a bigger tip. Like, it's the opposite. Like,
I go down to 10%. I'm not gonna lie. I go to 10%.
I just think that, man, the world is just, it's so negative in so many ways. If you have the opportunity to, enlighten something, somebody cuts me off, I'm like, because this is the thing. Like, and I'll be honest, I'll tell you this. Somebody cuts you off, you get pissed off. You know,
Yes.
you honk at them or someone, you know, but when you cut somebody off and they get pissed off at you, you're like, why is he acting that way? Like, what's the, you know, he's
No
being a
doubt.
jerk. So
Yes.
honestly, I'm not sure that there is much that, you know, if I see people being disrespectful to other people, if I see man, if I see a kid being disrespectful to his mom, oh, like those are the things that kind of get to me more than anything else. That life is too short. We have to enjoy what we do. Losing bothers me, of course, but you know, I flip. I'm like, okay, well, what did I learn? You know, and how do I get better? Like that's
Um,
really my attitude in it.
all right. Well, we can end it with this, Ron. You mentioned how you're from the Dominican Republic. Yo puedo hablar poquito español y
Mhm.
necesito decir, mi amigo Jeff aquí es tan inteligente como el pomo de la puerta.
Whatever that was, I know it wasn't nice. I
It was
know it was
not
not
nice. It was
nice.
not nice. It was not
Ron,
nice.
and it was some positivity because
Yeah.
Doster needs a little positivity in his life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, actually, fellas, listen, man. Like I'm in a great position. You know, I'm doing what I love to do every day. I wake up fully energized every day. I'm trying to embrace this. Um, I'm I'm trying to be the best that I can for these young guys. I want to create an environment where they want to come to practice every day and have fun. You know, that's really my focus has been. You know, even through all this, you know, for them has been how can I and the university be best for them and not allowing whatever's going on in college basketball to impact my why. You know, if my purpose is to help young men, I can do it at Charlotte, I could do it at Virginia, I could do it at Washington State, you know, I could do it at Monticello High School down the
you
road.
can do
You
it
know,
in the Bronx, right?
exactly. So, you know, I think when you keep your focus and the main thing, you know, the main thing, and yes, there's some tough decisions that have to be made, and you know, but in all of it, man, like we're all very fortunate to do what we do, and I will
Yeah.
encourage both of you, don't lose perspective of this thing, no matter
Mhm.
what goes on, you
I
know.
say the same thing you said earlier, Ron, which is I never worked a day in my life doing
Yeah,
this job.
yeah,
Like if put in perspective of these, you know, a lot of people out there doing jobs that they don't like every
yeah,
day,
yeah.
and they get up and they're, you know,
Mhm.
you got to get motivated. Like if I ever find myself getting up in the morning and being like, man, I'm like, what am I doing? What am I
Yeah.
doing here?
Yeah.
Like,
And I honestly, and I love the fact that this is really important to a lot of people.
yeah,
This is really important to a
yes,
lot of people.
yes,
And to have the responsibility to produce a great product
yeah.
for people that truly have an appreciation and a love for their universities, for their basketball program, you know, Tony included, and that I have the opportunity to do that. Yeah,
Hey,
I'm blessed.
did he go to your game? Did he go to the game? Did I see?
Yeah, you know, I don't see him, but once I watch the game back, and you know, sometimes I see him in the stands, and you know,
Is he doing this? Like what? Like is he just sitting like this with zero emotion?
He
Is he
was
yelling?
smiling and
Is he Roy
laughing.
Williams?
He was
I
smiling
don't
and
know what
laughing, man.
Was
I
he?
don't know what he's doing up there.
He's not yelling at you for your bad play calls?
No, I saw him. I'm gonna get an Apple Watch, so you could text me in the middle of the
Yeah.
game.
Hey, Ron, he was the guy up there. He was leading the cheers every time you guys got a shot clock violation. That's what he was doing.
Oh, that I agree. That I agree with. I know that for a fact. So,
Listen, so good catching it up. So good.
oh,
It's been too
oh,
long, and good luck this season.
thank you.
I know it's not an easy situation, but you make it an easy situation because again, you do the right thing. I have not encountered too many people that have had the positivity that you've had and the honestly the commitment to helping young kids. I want to say, but they're not young anymore. They're you got 24-year-olds now. They're
Yeah,
certainly not young, but
yeah.
young men, and take care of your family, my man. And
Thank you.
we'll talk soon.
No, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I'll end it with this one. We have, as much as we were helping kids with academics or this, now we just have an opportunity to help them and their families in other ways. And that's really
That's right.
how I see this
Yep.
entire thing. And again, it goes back to, you know, where we come from. I know, you know, what that's like. So I have an opportunity to really, really help kids at a completely different level now. So I just got to add that to the list, to the list of things that I can do for them. You know, so definitely.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you guys. Have a great one.